This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news, and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Georgia Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLisio and Kenny Burgamy.
All right, yes, we welcome you to a special edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor. Special because the majority of today's show dedicated to the Georgia FFA State Convention held recently in Macon.
Yeah, Ray, this year marking the 88th edition of the convention. Now, coming up, the friendships and overall experience of being a part of the Georgia FFA. Go behind the scenes of this three-day event and see how it inspires those who want a career in agriculture. Also, Ray spends the day with outgoing FFA State President Avery Duncan. The experiences he's enjoyed most during his time as president, and more importantly, what the future has in store.
And then later, springtime means flowers, and that means another partnership with the Georgia gardener, Walter Reeves. Today, Walter shows us how to grow tomatoes without using a traditional garden. All this and more starting right now on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
It's been well documented that the number of new local FFA chapters across the country continues to grow on a yearly basis. In fact, Georgia FFA is currently the third largest state association behind Texas and California, with more than 37,000 members. And with events like the annual state convention, that number will continue to grow. Buses from across the state brought FFA members to Macon Centerplex and the Marriott City Center to take part in the state convention. It's a unique event that helps celebrate the end of a year of hard work.
And so to see that culmination of them, and especially those who were named stars, we named our state stars last night, 12 incredible students, and the 4 that were chosen, just incredible. That supervised ag experience that they put into learning about money management and about production and about agri-science research, just incredible. They're going to be great in the agriculture industry, and they started here with FFA.
The main goal for the convention is to celebrate and recognize all the hard work and dedication that the teenagers put in during the school year, plus have some fun.
Well, first and foremost, we've got an incredible state ag education staff and team, but we've got a tremendous amount of volunteers that help with this convention. The local FFA advisors that bring their students here and monitor those students, it starts there. If they weren't willing to bring them and monitor them and the parents to come with them, this wouldn't happen.
It's a lot of energy, like amazing, really upbeat, very inspirational. Just, it's a weekend to get away from all the craziness right before the end of school and just take a step back and rejuvenate and be like, this is why I'm here.
Ben Lastly said it's the diversity offered through FFA that helps make for better adults working in the area of agriculture.
When we get here, we have past FFA members who come, and their role is to put tape and signs out on chairs. They get no notoriety, they're not in the spotlight, but they make sure that every award winner has their name on a chair, or that every registration pack is picked up. And they're here not because I get to pay them, but because they love FFA. So the incredible amount of volunteerism from the local area, from local FFA chapters, and from past officers and members is incredible. We're very fortunate that way.
Well, I think the one message we try to share is that there is something for every student in agriculture education and FFA. It's so diverse and such a big industry that there is something for every single student. So it's all inclusive.
State Program Manager for Georgia Agriculture Education, Chip Bridges, told me the FFA organization is just one example of what Georgia does well with ag education.
It's so important that we share the great things that we're doing in agriculture. Sometimes we get a bad rap on some other things that other groups put on their social media, so we need to be positive and share the good things that we're doing in agriculture, and Georgia FFA is doing some great things.
Oh my goodness, amazing motivational speakers, 5,000 of Georgia's finest. That's most definitely what you're missing.
Meanwhile, in an effort to help the host city, over 425 members of Georgia FFA partnered with the group Rebuilding Macon on day 1 of the convention. Students and teachers broke into 4 groups to help do some minor maintenance, yard work, and paint homes for aging residents in Bibb County. Living to Serve coordinator Kevin Jump says the work these middle school and high school students do each year is a tremendous asset to those in need of assistance.
This opportunity to give back just a little bit because of the benefit that they have received speaks volumes. I mean, this will carry over into their college career and their future. And hopefully they'll take back from this that with all the blessings that they have received, their purpose is to give back, to serve others. You know, the purpose of life is to serve. So here's the opportunity and the example, and they learn it early, and that's a good thing.
Well, saying goodbye to the FFA is never easy, and for those students who are fortunate enough to serve as a state officer, the finale of wearing that corduroy jacket can be even tougher.
Yeah, prior to his farewell speech, the monitor traveled to Athens and sat down with outgoing Georgia FFA President Avery Duncan. He said his time in the organization is something that was both productive and life-changing.
It's been amazing and stressful and hectic, but all in all, I would not change it for the world because I've been able to meet so many great members throughout the state at all the conferences we have. I made friends from different states that are state officers when we have National Leadership Conference for state officers in the summer, or when we go to National Convention in Louisville. So I have all these great connections that I've made and all these great members that I have been able to meet and get to know personally. So I wouldn't trade this year for the world. It's been a little stressful with college and hectic, but it's also been amazing and probably the best year of my life. It's changed me in a lot of different ways. You kind of see things in a different view once you go through this process of being a state officer. You see that, you know, I came up in a county that was mainly poultry production, and then a lot of people were in the FFA, and some people cared about agriculture and some people were just in it because they had to have the class. But going back, and you have this different perspective of people have different chapters, they have different values that they come from, they have different interests that they have. So really getting to see this perspective out, everyone's not the same in this organization, and we strive for diversity and we push to have this group that is diverse in our culture and our religion and everything. So it's cool that we have this perspective now that we're not all the same and that we have this going forward. What's next for me? I'm in college right now, so next semester, next year, I'm really going to dive into some local organizations and clubs that the University of Georgia has. I've met some amazing friends throughout my year here, and a lot of them are part of like UGA Miracle or UGA Heroes, which are clubs and organizations that students become a part of, that they raise money and awareness for diseases or for underprivileged kids or for childhood cancer. And they have all these events that they want to give back to the community of Athens. So I think that joining one of those clubs or organizations is a huge possibility that I can spend my time giving back to the community of Athens and really just seeing what life after the FFA has for me.
Yeah, just a great young man, certainly has a bright future ahead of him. And so does this the young lady. When we come back, Georgia's own Abby Gretsch on the demands of being a national FFA officer and how the position has changed her life. Stay with us. You're watching the Farm Monitor's coverage of the 88th Annual Georgia FFA Convention.
H-2A users across the country are seeing significant delays at both the U.S. Department of Labor and the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Christy Boswell of the American Farm Bureau Federation says this delay is coming right before peak demand for H-2A workers hit.
This year we're seeing more farmers turn to the H-2A visa program to ensure they have access to a stable and legal workforce. As we enter this peak harvest season in the summer with blueberries, peaches, cherries really coming to season, we're extremely concerned about the delays we're already seeing and how DOL and USCIS will handle going forward with more applications.
With a lack of farm labor, crops will be left to rot on the vine without crews in place to get them to market.
We've heard from members across the country in well over 20 states that are already seeing delays on both ends, from the Department of Labor and from the USCIS, and these delays are causing significant revenue losses. This is why we're raising attention to make sure that everyone's aware of the impact these delays can have.
Working to ensure farmers are able to tend to and harvest their crops, American Farm Bureau and others are bringing attention to this issue.
The American Farm Bureau is working with our industry partners to engage members of Congress to make sure they're aware of their constituent needs, and also to work with USDA to be an advocate for us with their counterparts in the Department of Labor and USCIS USDA has been a great ally on many issues, and we know that they can step in and really speak for farmers in this critical issue and make sure that we get our workers on time.
Jessica Wharton, Washington.
Once again, the National FFA Council has a Georgia flavor to it, as Oglethorpe County's Abby Gretsch is serving as the Southern Region Vice President.
The Monitor's Damon Jones recently caught up with her and tells you what she's learned over the past year and what's in her future.
This is something Abby Gretsch has done hundreds of times growing up around the farm. Whether it was cleaning chicken houses early on or herding cattle over the past few years, it's a lifestyle she has really grown to appreciate.
I definitely think that agriculture has taught me a lot of life lessons, whether that was the hard work ethic that my dad and my mom instilled in me working on the poultry farm or with my show heifers. I also think that it's taught me to be proud of where I've come from and to really show that in whatever I do, whether that's being an active advocate, but also to be humble about it.
That passion for agriculture led her to help to start the FFA program at Athens Christian, which became the first private school in the state to receive a chapter. While she thought it would be just another way for her to show cattle, it turned out to be much more.
It was the leadership skills that I learned. It's how to grow leaders, of building communities and strengthening agriculture, and something that we strive to do, whether that was the hands-on work inside of the classroom or the hands-on work outside of the classroom. And being able to really communicate what agriculture is and how the many different forms of it was why I started to get involved in FFA.
It's those values that not only benefit the members, but also the parents, as they know their kids are involved in an organization that will help them grow on so many levels.
And if there's a company out there that's looking to hire people, I would absolutely go to the FFA organization and search out those kids because they're leaders. I mean, they're good, wholesome kids, whether at the state convention or the national convention. These kids are behaving, they're serious about what they're doing, they're having fun.
And speaking of fun, it's something Abby has had plenty of over the past year serving as the Southern Region Vice President. She's gotten to spend time all over the country advocating for agriculture while also learning a few things along the way.
One of the cool things I got to do the past few weeks is travel to some pretty big cities like Chicago and Sacramento, California. And what I get to see is that perspective of global agriculture. These companies that come in and they learn about what the agriculture industry is, whether that's boots on the ground or back into their company, they're able to understand that whole aspect in food and consumption chain.
We're just really excited for the opportunities for her. You know, of course we miss her because she's gone so much, but just really look forward to her coming home and asking her a million questions and about what all she's doing, who she's meeting, what she's seeing, and we're learning a lot about the agricultural industry through her.
While she has enjoyed her more than 300 days on the road, Abby is looking forward to getting back to college and pursuing her career in agriculture.
I'm at the University of Georgia studying agricultural communications and agricultural education, so I hope to become a middle school ag teacher or work in the ag in the classroom program advocating for agriculture and starting those kids out young. I feel like it starts at a very young age to learn the basic concepts of agriculture, and that's what continues on with our food chain in the future and really becoming effective consumers and producers.
Reporting from Crawford, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
All right, Damon, nice job. Thank you very much. Now, just a reminder, if you missed any part of the story or others on today's program, you can still see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel. That's the Georgia Farm Monitor. Once there, you can browse the archive of stories dating as far back as 2009.
Who needs Miracle-Gro when you have Georgia gardening expert Walter Reeves? Up next, Walter shares some ideas on how to grow the biggest and best tomatoes possible. Stay tuned.
The dinner rush is on at The Alley, a hot restaurant in Knoxville with great variety on the menu. Chef Sam Davis is preparing crab dip, an Alley specialty. Note what Davis is adding, bits of vegetable confetti called microgreens.
People eat three different ways. They eat with their eyes, the nose, and their mouth. The first, obviously, is their eyes. They see the food first. And the primary role of microgreens is to add contrasting color.
Just a few miles from the restaurant, you'll find microgreens growing in this greenhouse on the UT Ag campus. But you don't need a facility like this to produce microgreens. Turns out you don't need a lot of time either. Rosalie Metallo is a graduate student assistant at UT's Institute of Agriculture, and she's growing a variety of microgreens. No need for a combine to harvest this 2-inch tall crop. All you need is a clean pair of scissors.
So microgreens are an immature crop between the baby green stage and the sprout stage. Microgreens can be harvested anywhere from 7 to 21 days after germination. And they are typically harvested with no attached roots.
Part of the research at UTIA looks at different growing conditions for microgreens. Here Metallo demonstrates how easy it is to plant a crop, basically sprinkling seed, and no fertilizer needed.
So you're going to want to mist these in.
Microgreens include a variety of edible plants and some of your favorite vegetables just taken from the ground early.
From herbs like basil to a lot of the broccoli and arugula type of crops that can really add a great zest to a salad or a dish, and some pretty good nutritional benefits as well.
Microgreens can be harvested and on your plate the same day. Small-scale farming with a big taste. And a dash per dish of flavor that's healthy for you, easy to produce, and a perfect way to top off a good meal. This is Charles Denny reporting.
Finally today, time to see if all those April showers did their job and really brought May flowers, or in this case, food-producing plants.
And once again, we are thrilled to announce that the Farm Monitor has teamed up with the legendary Walter Reeves, aka the Georgia Gardener, who over the next few months will provide you with all his tips and advice in hopes of enabling you to grow successful fruits and vegetables in your garden.
Today we're going to talk about planting tomatoes in containers. Now a lot of people like to grow tomatoes in full sun, but in your case you may not have full sun in any place other than your deck or your patio or maybe even the edge of the driveway where you want to grow a tomato, and you can't have a big garden there, but you can grow tomatoes and other vegetables in containers. Now we're going to give you a few tips on how to do it correctly. All right, number one, we have to have a container. The thing to remember about planting tomatoes in containers is the container has to be big enough for the plant. This is a pretty small plant right here, but it's going to get bigger. And that's one of the things you think about when choosing a tomato is what kind of tomato does best in containers. They're called determinate tomatoes. Look on the label. When you look on the label, you'll see it says determinate there, which means it gets to a certain size and stops growing. You don't need a tomato that's going to be 10 feet tall. We need a small tomato, so determinate tomato first. Second thing, big container, 5 gallons is just a minimum, but a big half whiskey barrel like this one is just about right. And notice what I've done. I put some holes in the bottom here. That's for drainage, because if you have it out on your deck or your patio, you certainly want to have the rainwater that comes in or your irrigation water that comes in be able to get out so you don't drown your tomato, okay? Now there's one more thing to remember. This container is pretty deep, and tomato roots are only going to go down about this far in the container, so why are we putting soil in the bottom of the container? The answer is we're not. What we're going to do instead is put some soft drink bottles in the bottom. Put 2 or 3 in here. And when we put them in the bottom, you see, that takes up space so that you don't have to pay for potting soil to fill up the whole container. 2 or 3 or 4 of these works fine. You can use liter bottles, 2-liter bottles, whatever you have that takes up space and doesn't mean you have to have potting soil. All right, next thing. Let's get some good quality potting soil. Now, potting soil comes in various grades, and quite honestly, this is something that you get what you pay for. The higher grade potting soil will give you better tomatoes. You'll have less problems with them. So you get a good grade of potting soil at your nursery. And we'll dump that over. And a little bit more. What we're trying for is to fill the container up until it's about an inch from the top of the rim of our container here. All right, that looks about right. Let's level things off. Yeah, about an inch below the rim. Now again, for a container this size, only 1 or maybe 2 tomatoes is the right size for it. You don't want to put 5 tomatoes in a container like this because simply they will not be able to get the moisture that they need. And so let's use our 1 tomato and plant it. Now, as I said, this is a determinate tomato. It has roots. Looks nice root system, don't you think? It's a really nice root system there. Okay, we'll roughen up the roots just a little bit. All right, good. And then I'll take my hands, we'll dig us a nice hole here. You could actually plant tomatoes a little deeper than the root ball. They'll make roots around the stem. Don't put it really deep in there, but a couple of inches deep, no problem at all. And firm up the soil around it like this with our hands. All right, we've got the tomato in, but you know, I need more vegetables for my salsa. I need some peppers. So let's use these bell peppers that I bought. You could actually, if you wanted to just have bell peppers, put 4 bell peppers in a container this size. Because we already have a tomato here, I'm going to put in 2. But with the peppers, I'm going to plant them just so they're just at the planting height of the ball. You see the root ball there is just at the planting height of the rest of the soil in the container. So I don't want to bury the roots of the pepper because they will not make roots along the stem. All right, now we have our container planted. What's the next thing to do? Fertilize. We got to fertilize it. What we're going to use is some houseplant fertilizer. You know, the blue or the green stuff you mix with water. And we'll fertilize our plants. And this is something you'll need to do throughout the summer. Of course, you have to water your plants so they don't wilt. One of the biggest problems that I see on tomatoes in containers is we get a problem called blossom end rot, where the blossom end of the tomato fruit just turns rotten, turns black, it looks nasty. The reason for that most often is letting it dry out during the day. You want to water every day or every time it takes to make sure that your soil is not too soggy, not too dry. And then really the easiest way to know when your soil is too dry or too wet, use your digital water meter. This finger right here is a digital water meter. You got it? Digits? Yeah, I know you did. Okay, and you stick it into the soil right there, and you bring it back up again. If it comes up wet, it doesn't need watering. If it comes up dry, it needs watering. Fertilizing at one time is probably not enough for the whole summertime, and so I use a granular, slow-release fertilizer. These are little granules. I'll show you. See, they're round right there. They're coated with a plastic kind of substance and it dissolves very gradually over the summertime. And so I'll put some of that around each plant, follow the label directions. A little bit more. And there you have it, nothing to it. Right size container, couple of plants in the container, a little variation with the tomato and the peppers, fertilize, water appropriately during the summertime, and you've got a nice looking container that you can put anywhere. You couldn't put a regular garden, whether on your patio, your deck, your back porch, or any place that gets full sun. And don't forget, you can get a lot more garden tips with the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Walter, very nice job. Thank you, sir. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Now, just a reminder, for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm, be sure to check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and the Farm Monitor Show.
Take care, everybody. We will see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Have a great week, everybody.